What would your existence become if fear no longer dictated your choices, not muffled for a passing moment, not restrained, negotiated, or controlled, but obliterated, vanished, extinct? Envision rising each dawn without that paralyzing pause, without the endless mental loops questioning your capability, your value, your right to even try. What paths would you choose then? What barriers would you shatter? What visions would you pursue with furious, unrelenting passion? Because the raw truth is fear isn't the adversary. Submission is. Fear is innate. It's ancestral. It murmurs and it cautions, but it only triumphs when you yield. Every instance you trust its lies, every time you contract rather than advance, you exchange potential for temporary ease. You sacrifice evolution for the illusion of security. You freeze. You choke. You remain motionless not from inadequacy, but because fear has sold you the delusion that stagnation equals survival. But not today. Today, we dismantle fears disguised the fraud, the narrative, the specter masquerading as truth. Today, we inter it not with hollow inspiration or shallow slogans, but with raw honesty, with relentless practice, with a mission that dwarfs your doubts. You'll discover how to cease fleeing from fear and begin stalking it. You'll learn to stand unwavering even when your knees quake, to move before hesitation takes root, to forge a psyche so honed and disciplined that fear finds no home within you. So inhale deeply, advance, and never glance backward. Because this is the day you execute fear. Let's shatter an illusion. Fear isn't your foe. Fear is biology. It's primordial, wired into your DNA to preserve you, and in many ways it has. But fear was never designed to command you. It was never meant to navigate, to advise, to govern your decisions. Yet that's precisely what most allow. They let fear grip the wheel, then question why their life orbits in place. Fear ignites when you near the unfamiliar, the risky, the territory that threatens your equilibrium. That's not fragility, that's your neural circuitry performing its ancient role. But here's the reality few grasp. Fear itself doesn't halt you. Surrender does. It's not the dread you sense, it's the hesitation it births, the chance you ignore, the words you swallow, the ambition you defer. Most await fear's disappearance before acting. They wait to feel bold, to feel sure, but that instant never arrives because courage isn't fear's absence. It's motion despite its presence. And if you linger for readiness, you'll linger forever. The titans who reshape worlds, who redefine industries, who imprint history, they too know fear, but they march onward regardless. That's the pivot. That's the advantage. You needn't be unafraid. You need only cease treating fear as law. Cease granting it dominion it never deserved. Fear may ride along fine, but it never touches the controls. No longer. Here's where it transforms. The more you traverse fear, the more it dwindles. Each act, despite terror, rewires your mind. Fear doesn't mean halt. It means this matters. It means evolve. It means you near something pivotal. Repetition reshapes reality. The more you confront fear directly, the less it governs you. You become terrain where fear cannot root because you've conditioned your psyche to act before fear anchors. So next time fear surges in your veins, recall, you don't require less fear, you require more momentum. Don't dissect, don't waffle, don't bargain, move. Because fear despises velocity, and the instant you act, fear starts dying. Fear is a maestro of deception. It spins tales so plausible, so visceral, they mimic truth. But here's the brutal clarity. Fear is counterfeit. Its most toxic lies target you. It hisses that you're unprepared, that you lack the intellect, the skill, the right, that attempting means failing, that speaking invites ridicule, that pursuing that dream guarantees ruin. And because fear speaks in your mind's voice, you trust it. You mistake it for fact, never seeing it's merely a script rehearsed until it feels real, not because it is, but because it's habit. Fear flourishes in imagination. It seizes uncertainty and constructs a horror film. You don't just dread a tough talk, you watch it combust. You don't just pause before novelty, you witness your spectacular permanent collapse. You don't just fear rejection, you endure humiliation, exile, and proof you were always deficient. That's fear's victory, not through truth, but repetition. The more you rehearse catastrophe mentally, the more your nervous system accepts it as fact. When your brain believes the threat, it floods your body with retreat signals, pulse racing, breath shallow, muscles taut. Suddenly, you're not present. You're trapped in a future that doesn't exist. And there, even micro movements feel impossible. But here's the revelation. If fear is constructed through repetition, so is fortitude. If fear is narrative, you can draft a superior one. One where your voice is heard, where your leaps land, where you fall and rise regardless. Because the brain can't distinguish imagination from memory. If you can picture defeat, you can envision triumph. If you can rehearse disaster, you can rehearse mastery. This is the war zone, not external, but internal. When you reject fear's manuscript and author your own, you seize control. You needn't feel courageous to act courageously. You needn't feel assured to progress. You need only revoke fear's microphone. Because your inner voice is potent, but it's not always truthful. Its grandest fabrication, that fear is your boundary. It's not. It's your indicator, the flare marking your growth's frontier. What follows, that's yours to determine. Fear expands in shadows, in mute avoidance. The more you flee, the more it swells. The more you rationalize, the more it amplifies. Because fear doesn't diminish with time, it shrinks with exposure. This is where most err. They await valor before leaping. They wait for fear to dissolve before beginning. But courage doesn't precede action, it follows it. Picture standing poolside, water icy. You can dabble a toe, retreat, return tomorrow, overanalyze anew, and still shudder at the sight. Or you can plunge, shock your system, let adaptation unfold. Within moments, the chill fades. Why? Because you've lived what your mind magnified. That's exposure. It's not about fearlessness, it's about readiness. Readiness to feel terror and proceed regardless. Readiness to stare down uncertainty and declare, you're not the finale, you're the overture. This is how you slaughter fear, not via evasion, but immersion. You lean toward what petrifies you. You practice unease until it's mundane. And the more mundane it becomes, the weaker its grip. Speak even when your throat constricts. Appear even when your limbs tremble. Launch even if it's flawed. Query even if the answer terrifies. That's the labor. That's the forge. Because repetition alters reality. First time, agony. Second time, unease. 10th time, habit. 100th time, emancipation. Those you revere, orators, pioneers, artists, warriors, they didn't begin bold. They began terrified. The distinction? They declined to remain so. They cultivated discomfort tolerance. They didn't evade the tempest. They entered it repeatedly until the thunder couldn't rattle them. The reality, fear never fully departs, but you cease recoiling when it speaks. You cease diminishing when it swells. Because you faced it enough to know. It's just noise, just a signal, and it doesn't hold the pen. You do. The sole exit is through the quaking, through the stumbles, through the skepticism. You stride into the gale not because you're unshaken, but because you know beyond fear lies the life you've yet to live. And that's worth every ounce of courage. To annihilate fear, you must strike at its origin, your mentality. Because fear doesn't begin externally, it begins in your cognition, in the silent, invisible tales you recite, tales of insufficiency, of peril, of potential ruin. Tales looping endlessly, sculpting your reality unbeknownst to you. And here's the fact, untrained thoughts will train you. Left ungoverned, the mind becomes a battleground where fear prevails. But you're not here to be fear's subject. You're here to reclaim your psyche, to seize the pen and rewrite the story. It starts with this seismic realization. You are not your thoughts. You are the witness of your thoughts, the designer, the coder, the selector of what remains. So when fear mutters, you're unprepared, don't nod. Challenge, prove it.